Going live. Oops. There I am. Turn that echo off. Well, this looks exciting and promising. There's no one here. Well, if no one shows up, then I'll go take a nap. It's night time. Maybe I'll just go to bed. Seeing if my boy will come down. He may not. Errol, how are you this evening? I was just calling Teddy down in case nobody else showed up. I could talk to him. My foot's hung up. Sorry. Give me a minute. I'm just dancing around the subject. If you get my meaning. Let me see if I can change something. Excuse me. How do I do that? Never mind. I'm going to put up a virtual background behind myself so you can't see all my mess tonight. I've got a mess. Come here, buddy. Come up here and say hi. There you are. Good boy. Say hi to Carol. Her and Mama's the only ones here. You want to get in on the conversation? Come on, stand up. Come here. Good boy. Good boy. Say hi, Miss Carol. The big T. Teddy's tail. Carol saw your tail. Say, Carol, I brought all of me, not just my tail. Yeah. That's kind of embarrassing, wasn't it? Just showing your tail. He was crying, looking for us, and trying to figure out where we both went. I guess he does that at night sometimes, because it's third or fourth nap time right now, so he didn't want to miss anybody if he need to take a nap. Yeah, she should be able to, Carol. I mean, you'd think there'd be something up there in that room right now that would be suiting and well, we've tried a couple of different things, but they're not. I don't know. They don't click. Hey, Diana, welcome in. Where's that no good layabout husband of yours? Heat that up a little bit. Getting me coffee. Well, good for him. There's Mike. Cookies. Well, now we heard you were getting your better half a cup of coffee, so she better gotten something too. Don't get too carried away, Diana. She'll probably correct you. She might take you off into a corner to do it, but Mike, you know we can't win this, don't you? We might as well both give in. That was my Well, I guess that's all right. It's still left, and I know you think I'm crazy, but I had my camera adjusted so my left was over here, and I just realized that on the screen it's not. It's still, mirrored, not mirrored. Oh well, that's why you guys show up for the laughs, right? It can't be for much else. Oh yeah, for my birthday. Oh, the neighbor brought him cookies. Oh, Mike, good deal. What do you mean, Carol? Brenda makes me raise my hand all the time. Head, shoulders, knees, and toes. What? Yes, I'm taking her to the beach this month, end of the month. I've already made the reservations and everything. Hey again, Mike. Don't worry about being late. You were doing your duty. Herbie 2.0 and Junior are her hermit crabs that are if Herbie keeps growing to get to be a 4.0 or a 5.0, we're gonna have to probably feed him to the cats, or we're gonna have to boil him and eat him. Sorry guys, I got a tune in my head. Well, I'm going to say for myself, Mike, no, I don't. Not always, but we hadn't been in a while. But Brenda finally probably finds more, but she always wants to go down there right after a hurricane, which is, probably the worst time to go someplace and try to get a room. But it would be fun to go down there and scour the beaches right after a hurricane. Man, you just don't know what you might find. Well, you mentioned something about you were having a rough week, Mike. Anything you want to talk about? Or maybe you can't talk about it. Or if you want to call it something else and complain about it, well, you're welcome to have the floor. I don't know if it's been a good week or a bad week. It's just been a regular week here. I got off the phone a little bit ago. I've seen this call come in before, and I've honestly missed it a couple of times. And then one time I did ignore it because I knew what it was going to be. And it was. I took it tonight and answered it because I decided I was going to. Oh, no, your mother fell home, so now she's not spell bad. Right after, did your dad fall also, or did he have another problem? They've both been in the hospital recently, haven't they, Mike? Well, don't think we're making fun of you for that. We're just, otherwise abusing you. But when do you think she'll be out? She's going to be in the hospital a bit. Did she break anything? Oh, that's never good when the hospital knows you by your first name. It's bad enough when the guy at the pizza shop does. I pulled up the other night. I started getting pizzas from the local place just right down the street again. And the little kid walks to the window. I mean, he's got to be about 15 or 16. He says, "Oh, you're that guy." I said, "Oh, no. I've been coming way too often if I've become that guy." Hey, Cherie, welcome in. Well, back to my question, Mike. Did she break anything, or are they just keeping her there to check? Oh, no, it never does. Brenda, you should ask Cherie if she's seeing any shells on the beach. I don't want to sit too still. I might go offline. Uh-oh. I know, Mike. I kind of know how that is. Oh, man. I don't know if you said their age, but I wouldn't want to get pneumonia bad enough to be in the hospital right now. I mean, that's never good. Pneumonia is no joke. Look up and smile about what? Well, I'm looking at the screen so I can see who's saying what. Mom's 79, my dad's 85. Brenda, that's about her mom's about the same age as your mom, I think, isn't she? Or is your mom over 80 now? If I look up and smile, I got something on my glasses and that confuses me. Oops. I left something upstairs on the table. Hey, Mike, I never thought about this before. Not that you're going to know who it is, but I have a Canadian on my wall here that has a place of honor right there. He was one of my motorcycle racing heroes when I was in high school, and then later on his son raced, and I used to root for him at the racetrack until he retired. I think he was actually from I don't know if he was from Quebec. He might have been, because he was definitely of the French Canadian variety. Yeah, he would. That's true. He did that. He was ready to go home. They weren't ready to send him home. Oh, don't say that, Diana. It looks terrible. It's cut, but I didn't really spend much time making sure it was beat down. And Brenda says it's sticking up in several places. That's the problem with me having short hair. It don't lay down well. And I needed a shower today, and I haven't taken one yet. I'll probably be later. He actually fixed it. I told him to wet and brush. Well, I did brush it a little bit. Maybe I need to use Teddy's brush. It might do better. It's got finer teeth. What do you think now? What do you think, Carol? I personally think the cat brush might do better than my person brush. Look at that. And it kind of gives my scalp that pleasant tingly feeling where the little steel teeth are poking down into it. Oh, anyway. Well, that's what I told Brenda. All the cool kids and the movie stars and like people like what's the guy's name that had he's in the hospital or was in the hospital, the Hawkeye. His hair always looks like he just came out of a glue factory or something. I knew you would approve, Carol. And Teddy was asleep. He don't need it. He's not wanting brushed right now. If I use this one, this is called a Furminator. If I was to use that, it would cut my hair. It's got a blade in there. It's sort of like the old hair cutting tool my mom used to use on me. It cuts it down, to a certain length, and then that's it. Yeah, some people probably do pay a lot. I wish somebody would pay me a lot for it. Cherie, say hi to James if he's around. Well, there you go, Mike. Give it a try. You might find it stimulating. I can't tell what that. I don't know if you're blowing me a kiss or making a face at me. Well, almost killed 30 minutes. I guess this is about the crowd we're gonna have tonight. If you read my thumbnail, you'll see I kind of danced all around some things. Well, when he wakes up later tomorrow, or whatever, tell him we said hi. If you've been with me for the last couple of weeks, which everybody but Sheree probably has been, we've been talking about banning books and banning and talking about other things, but I kind of picking on Florida, to be honest. But right now, they're pretty easy to pick on. If you've been paying attention, they seem to get more and more that way, but they're not the only ones, but they're certainly. Come on, Brenda. No cats jumping out of boxes. So I'm looking for more opinions for one thing. I wondered if anybody did have a chance to look into any of the banned books that are shown out there in any list, and if you have an opinion. And also, there's a lot going on right now about outlawing drag in Florida. It's really hard to tell exactly who they're trying to ban. I've had people that tell me that they're concerned about children being exposed to drag, and I have to admit I have my feeling. I have mixed feelings about that too, and do probably think there should be an age level that's appropriate versus inappropriate. But that said, there still has a lot to do with parenting. So maybe that not entirely the teacher's fault or the school's fault. Thank you, Carol. That was well done. In fact, that was an excellent little segue. Stuff going on in Florida is just crazy. I have mixed feelings about it too, but I think they could find some more instructive things to work on than worry about all that stuff. Well, me too. And I was listening to. I did a little bit more. I bet this is my problem. I started researching these topics that I'd like to talk about, and I end up down, as you all know, I want to do. I run down a rabbit hole and end up off on 2 or 3 other subjects. Hey, Dean, good evening, sir. And it's really hard. Hey, Tony, welcome in. Well, I think they are honestly, and I'm going to say this, and whoever wants to can disagree, I guess, but I think DeSantis is kind of looking for things, anything he can bring up that he feels like will get him votes. If he decides to run for president, which I'm sure he's going to. I mean, if he's not, he's spent a lot of money getting ready. But any of these topics that can buy him, getting votes within that base group he's gonna do. He's gonna court them and go after those questions. I have no doubt. But some of it, they're just getting. I think they're getting carried away. That said, I do think there's age level appropriate books and activities, and some of it does have to come from the parents also. They can't just, Carol can't be, they can't throw it on Carol's lap, for example, and say she has to do it. Oh, her head blew off the top. Yep. Oh, Tony, I didn't mean to stick you out front that much. But, and I looked all over the place for I've heard a couple different things about the programs that seem to be out there in some places about men in drag reading stories to children and going into schools. And I saw somebody sent me an article, and I need to go back and look for it, I guess. It showed, a dancer in a classroom. And I thought that was kind of inappropriate. I have to admit, I don't think that's not the same thing as just sitting down and reading. But I also don't know what age that is. I mean, Carol, you're a preschool teacher. Do you think kids that age are influenced to become drag queens if they see one at 5? Or is that too early to introduce them to diversity and getting along with others? And I mean, you got to do some of that, right? They say you learn everything you need to know in kindergarten. I do worry that it's just going to drag up more homophobia in places, and Florida's already got enough problems with that. I mean, there are things like the bar in Orlando that got shot up, or Carol cannot have books in her room until all the books have been looked over. Yeah, like we talked a little bit about that last week. That's kind of how the law is written in Florida now, that the books on the shelves have to be reviewed by somebody, and the schools have like 1 or 2 people in their whole system that can do that. So, if that's true, and if they're going by that law, part of the law, then they have to wait until those books get reviewed before they can put anything back on their shelves. And even then, they're going to come back kind of slowly, unless the people know what the books are. And once they've seen them, once they've gone through them in a school or two, then they probably know what they do or do not approve of. She actually teaches kindergarten. The only strangers we bring in to read kids are authors. Well, that's cool. I just don't see the point in bringing in too many. Well, I think that's a really good point too. And I'm gonna have to admit, I think that's too early for too much of that kind of stuff. Also, in fact, I don't know that kind of inclusion or that kind of exposure needs to happen, if it does, until they're much older. And if you're taking your kids to a bar in this country to see drag dancing and that sort of thing for exposure, or some people say grooming, I'm not sure how that's legal either. I mean, in Europe you see more of that, but in Europe, a pub is more like a community gathering than it is a drag bar or a gay bar. Or, I mean, they have them, yes, but you see younger kids with families. I mean, they go there to eat, and mom and pop have a beer, and of course they can drink a little younger than we can here anyway, to some degree. But so I don't know how I'm not sure they're not breaking the law in some respects already. Again, I'm not trying to sound like I'm just totally I'm not anti-inclusion or even exposure or learning how to realize that, Mr. Smith is not a bad man when he's Mrs. Jones. I think that's the way it should be. Or a parent, that other stuff, I just don't think they're ready for at that age. I'm not disagreeing. I do agree. I do think there's a time and a place. It's just that we seem to be getting carried away about the books who's deciding. And I mentioned to somebody earlier today, they did a commercial. I think it was a local lady that that was basically given a list of books she thought should be censored and taken out, banned from school libraries. And this lady had no grandchildren. She didn't even have any children, so she couldn't have grandchildren. But she was, by God, going to make sure they knew her opinion on what books should go away. And I don't see how that's hardly fair either. I do think that's important, and I think there's proper ways to do that. And I think that's what you're saying. I'm quite proud that Carol's in our group because she probably understands some of that better than any of us do. And that's something you hear now, and I don't know if we used to think that way or speak that way, but you hear that a lot now from kids and adults, that it's nice to see themselves represented at different levels of education and sports, politics, even the military. I think that's the way it should be. What are you saying, Brenda? I missed something there. I can't imagine what it felt like to be, even when I was in elementary school. I can't imagine what it was like to grow up black. I mean, obviously I can't. That's a dumb thing to say, I'm sure, and never see a black face on TV, never see a black face at the movies, hardly, or never see a face that looked like mine in a sports arena or a movie star, or I mean, that had to be, or a doll. I mean, I can remember when you never saw a doll that had, was of any color whatsoever other than, milky white. Why are you asking Mike if he's dancing? I missed something, Miss Brenda. Oh. I can only imagine. I've asked that question before. I asked somebody that one time. I said, "Where in the heck do you find high heels that big?" So I think you've made a valid point, Mike. And cowboy boots, or if you're just wearing trainers or sneakers or tennis shoes or whatever you call them where you're from. Oh, you know where you can get them. Well, I don't want any. Mike can let you know if he does. I just had a thought, and I'm not going to say it out loud. I'd say it'll be an even colder day in Canada before we see Mike and Drag. I really worry about. I really do worry about things like book bannings, and that kind of thing can it sort of grows its own legs, and um, I don't know, it can get out of hand really quickly. And what I mean by that is, that's what leads to well, we've already had book burnings. It just, if it goes too far and we swing too far to one side in that regard, I think it's just, I don't know. I don't like where that's headed. And it makes me mad because, when politicians are doing it, they're just trying to get somebody else's vote. And if they don't think the other side's worthy of voting for them, then they don't care. But if they can get more, I think if you're a politician in Florida right now, especially if you're a Republican politician, you probably feel like the odds are in your favor anyway because of the number of retirees and such down there that tend to be more conservative in that age range. And I know some of them are going to think he's probably the greatest thing since sliced white bread, but I think and another thing is he's passing all these bills and signing stuff into law, but all of them aren't going into effect, and that's what they're not telling people. He doesn't ever mention that, or rarely, and so far it hasn't come up a lot in the news, but I know there's a couple of things he's passed in the last year or so that have been tied up in courts and are being questioned by a number of people. And, so they're not really happening. But they're not the only ones. Texas actually may have more currently listed banned books than any other state. I saw a chart today that, I don't know when the chart was produced. That's why I didn't bring it in to use it for show and tell, but it had, way outnumbered. Texas was way out in the lead on banned books. I've seen things like Anne Frank, and of course we mentioned Harry Potter, and I'll tell you something else that's starting. I'll change subject just for a moment because it kind of fits in. And I put in there something about being woke because this term woke is really driving me nuts of late. And I think it's really being abused by both sides. I think I hear it far more from the right than I do from the left, and as far as news and TV and interviews and that sort of thing goes. And, DeSantis is down there declaring that Florida's where woke comes to die. And it just seems like either he's misinterpreting the whole term, and I actually think both sides are, the idea of it. That term's been around since the 70s, but it just got popular recently. So now you hear it all the time. And now it's become this great battle cry for one side to say, oh, that woke and cancel culture on the other side is just going to kill America. And you guys hear the same thing in Canada, Mike, Diana? I mean, is it the same way up there? You guys, I don't know how diverse the politics are from coast to coast up there, but I think one side has turned woke into being a much bigger thing than it was ever meant to be, or misconstrued what it was supposed to be. And I think there are people on the far left that have taken it and run too rampant with it. I think they've gotten way too carried away with maybe successes in one place and trying to make it successful in other places, and that's not going to happen either. I think there are age appropriate books and teaching. At some point, those books need to be in there, and I personally think that Huck Finn should be in there because I think there should be a version of history that's not changed, and then we bring up the truth about some of that history and tell that too, so they can see something maybe from a white writer's perspective versus what life was really like at that time. Brenda said, my favorite little penguin couple who happen to be boys raised a baby together, and they are banning that book. Yes, they are. There's two male penguins And I'm going to tell you something. This one really burns my butt because this is how people and too many people speak before they really know how nature even works. It is not that uncommon for two species or two identical genders in certain species to raise young. And it's happened before. It happens all the time. And what she's talking about is a couple of male penguins who there was a chick that was hatched out that was orphaned, and the two of them took it upon themselves to raise that chick. And I doubt very seriously that they thought they were gay. The two penguins, at least, since that's not a penguin. I don't know if that's in the penguin vocabulary, but that's like it's probably catching up with us, Mike. But to ban that book because it promotes gay marriage or once how do they put that? Singles, that's not right. Well, same-sex marriage, same-sex parents, whatever. And to think that's going to influence kids, I mean, it's not even really I don't even know that that's the main thesis of the book. The thesis is they took it upon themselves to raise a penguin chick, which in some cases, I'm not sure, I think it is in their case, that particular species of penguin is in somewhat distress around the world. So when they can raise them in captivity, it's a good thing. But I think it does, Mike. I do think that happens there too. I think it happens in a lot of places. Oh, you think they're in Australia? Well, they might have been. Oh, you're eating another cookie. Mike, come on. You're killing me, buddy. I don't have any cookies tonight. Brenda's trying to put me on a cookie diet. No cookies, I mean. Okay, Brenda, here's something. And again, if you know penguin ecology or biology, this makes even more sense because they're given an egg. They were given an egg that needed to be sat on, and they chose to take turns to keep it warm. In reality, penguins on the ice in the Antarctic swap out. Males and females do alternate on an egg. So it really isn't that unusual for a male penguin to sit on an egg. And if these two paired up and decided to both of them take turns, it's just them replicating what would be their natural their instinct to do that. And it just so happens that they're both male. Whoop whoop. I mean, for us to turn that into something, for lack of a better term, simplify it, just say something dirty or something you don't think kids should know about is ridiculous. But it makes me mad because it's also they don't understand how they even work. They don't know what penguins do in reality. That's just not that uncommon. But that book's banned. It's been taken off the shelf. It's like the book that's being banned in some places now about the single dad who is raising a black dad raising a black daughter. And if you know anything about African Americans or black race in general, you know that their hair is different, and it takes a lot of taking care of. Honestly, it's just different than a white woman's hair, a white man's hair, according to friends we have that have explained it to us. So he wrote a book about how he learned to tell his daughter take care of her hair. And there's something in that book, I guess daddy being a mama too, that they just don't like. And so they've taken that one off the shelf also. I'm going to compile a list of great diverse children's books with links to the YouTube. I think you'll like. Well, that'd be cool, Carol. Thank you. Yes, I'm talking about Hair Love. Exactly, Carol. And they're pulling that one off the shelves too, at least in some states. Florida has. At least the last list I saw, it was on the list. It was banned. And I think it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, why would you do that? What are you hiding from? And it also goes back to the wokeness thing, and the racial you know the term, but we don't want to talk about true history of this country because we don't want it to make white kids feel bad, apparently, among other reasons. But I don't know. It's not a simple issue, but it's also not one you can just throw a blanket over the whole scenario and or a big net and catch everything that's in it and say we did a good job, because I don't think that's true. I thought it was pretty ironic last week or week before when somebody posted a picture of DeSantis in drag when he was in college, because he had to do something for a fraternity or in a play or something, and he was dressed up like a woman. And I think he made them take that down from different sites around the state, at least, and wouldn't let them show it because that's one of the things his law says. And the other thing they're doing with some of these laws, in particular down there, is they're making them very ambiguous. So, while on one hand it says that these books are being chosen and banned or removed because of age, due to age levels or appropriateness, but it leaves room for them to be, for a dad in high school can go in and say the same thing about a book he doesn't like now for his high school kids, and just arbitrarily they can put that one on the list, go through, I guess, whatever process it goes through and ban it. I don't know any book in particular, but I heard the parent in that particular case say that last night or night before last. They asked him that question. He said, well, yeah, I think I should be able to, the law says that I should be able to ban a book too if I don't like it, and not make it available to my kid. Yeah, our governor's just as bad, or almost as bad. He's in fact, that hair book might have been in that list too, Tennessee's list of book burnings. But now some of the burnings haven't been by the government; they have been by other groups. I'll have to say in this state, it's mostly been mostly conservative religious groups. Let's just say it like that and let it go. I think we would be snowbirds going to Florida after all. I don't think we would be snowbirds going to Florida after all this stuff. I don't want to go there for any number of reasons, actually, but this is just one more reason why I wouldn't want to live down there. And that's not even getting into the heavy politics of the state. I mean, it's gotten so out of hand down there. So I don't know how to put it. Which book is that, Carol? Is that the Penguin book? Anyway, any other thoughts? Lord, isn't that sorry? Yeah, sorry, Dean, if you're still in there. Well, Dean can back up and say he lives there, but he wasn't born there, so. I don't know, Mike. I have to think about that a minute. You might be on to something. Because it takes a certain kind of person to live in a tiny house anyway. So, I mean, in some cases, you might be, if you're looking for one to move into, you might be in trouble. I think I'd like to be in a van community now. I think I'd just like to become a nomad in some ways. Well, I would and I wouldn't because I can't let go of my books and all the stuff I don't want to lose. I got my stuff. I want to keep it. Diana, I've been since probably COVID, probably when I really started reading about, people that live the nomad life and van life and camper life and that sort of thing. And I actually had some friends that did it, that went on the road during COVID and just traveled all over this country, at least. Anywhere they could get an internet connection, they could work from. And I know my buddy would work for the same company I work for, agency. And when they sent them all home during the shutdown, they were all working from home, and he went to somebody and asked them, "Can I work? Does it matter if I'm at home? I mean, if I need to be here, I'll be here. But if I don't have to be in the area, can I be anywhere?" And they pretty much said yes. So he took off. He and his wife traveled around, and like I said, as long as they had internet access, he could do 90% of his job. So. Yeah, it kind of is peeling, Diana. I don't disagree. But, we kind of, I'd hoped we'd be doing a lot more traveling, not full time on the road, but at least part time on the road when we retired. It does have its appeal. I'm not sure we're ready to go do it though in just the bed of a pickup truck. Or a station wagon, but there are ways it can be done. And back to the subject. I'm going to run us back there at least for a couple more minutes. But we all know Garrett, and I've talked to Garrett, and there are people out his state, that are California tends to be more of a left leaning state. Not all. There's a pretty strong Republican contingent out there too. That's pretty right, but there is a lot of woke gets. California is probably one of the states that it get woke. The term woke probably gets abused more from the left side than it does from the right side in a way, because seems like every time you turn around, somebody out there is trying to get something stopped or banned or prohibited or changed. And I think that's just making things harder sometimes. And a lot of them, I don't think they need to be changed. I think we just need to learn to get along and deal with things and not make a big deal out of them all the time. I got you, Mike. Well, that makes sense. If I ever find you a place down this way, buddy, I'll call you first thing. Tim and I decided that Tim is going to do the Great Beyond going to the Great Beyond before me, so he can let me know how things are. And my daughters both work for an auction company, so let the bidding begin. What she's trying to say there is she's going to sell off all my stuff. No pickup or wagon. I still need to sleep in a bed and have a shower. Yeah, exactly, Diana. I've spent half the year last year looking at trying to find a smaller motorhome that I thought we could live in, or a deal on one. The girls actually had a big motorhome, a diesel pusher type motorhome in an auction they had that went really cheap, and it actually was a high. It was a it was 20 years old, I think, maybe even just a tad older. It didn't have that many miles on it though, and it had a diesel, which should last you pretty much forever anyway. And it went cheap. It just needed to be, cleaned up, refurbed, have generator looked at. I mean, it needed some TLC, but for the money it went for, we were very tempted. But alas, we did not pull the string on something like that. So, because as Brenda points out a lot, I can't really work on them anymore like I used to. You'll have to come if you want to do that, Mike. We'll split something like that. You can help me work on it, and you can sleep in it in the winter down here, and we'll use it in the summertime while you're back up in Canada, or whenever you get to go home. It was on what I started saying. I never finished it. That particular one was a motorhome. It was on the upper end of what used to be a really high class motorhome. Now today, you can get very high up into that class motorhome, and you're talking a couple $100,000. Some of them go for even way more than that. Sounds to me like Brenda's decided for sure that that's the way it's going to happen. So I'll probably need to start watching out. Or she could just send me to live with Mark. I could just go out there and, live in the snow. I can make an igloo. But if we can work it out, Mike, I think that'd be a heck of a deal. And I ain't kidding. Yeah, they are expensive, but this particular one, because it had been sitting for a couple of years, the lady that had it was old and couldn't use it anymore. I think her husband had already passed away, and so she hadn't been able to use it, and it needed tires checked and run through with everything, and so you'd had to spend. I think it probably needed tires because they'd been sitting there for a couple of years. They were probably dry rotted, but it went for under $10,000. And it didn't have that many miles on it. It had, when I say about that many, I mean 50 to 60,000, which is, to me, is nothing on a big diesel rig like that. It would have been something to work on, that's for sure. It was really hard not to spring for it and just see what happened. Well, one thing was for sure, it was big enough for us and the cats. All right, the show has to end by the time I run out of coffee, which I now officially have one cup left. I apologize tonight. It's been a bit wandering. I didn't have this structured as well as I probably should have. No, I know, Mike. That's not hardly anything these days on a big gas engine for that matter, but it's definitely not on diesel. Change the oil in it and run it 1,000,000 miles. But you find things like that every once in a while. Like I say, you just got to, my girl said it was really nice and the interior was in great shape, but it was just, anyway, it was just one of those things that didn't happen. So And I don't know who bought it, so I don't know, if they got it running, if they've sold it. What are you talking about getting stuck? They're going to feed me now to the crabs. The hermit crabs. Yeah, I got that, Mike. It's gone down, right? I mean, I used to remember when it was not that far apart. Phil had a lot of friends that were, from Canada because he worked for a Canadian company for a while, and then I knew a few. We had a couple Canadian customers that we used to work on their airplanes. So don't get stuck. Well, I'll try not to get stuck because I don't want nobody chewing on my toes. I've been wondering why Brenda's been asking me to, put a list together with, possible values on things. If the girls come over here and start taking inventory, then I know the gig is up. And today, Mike? Oh, yeah. Thank you, Brenda. Here, I was trying to keep it serious. Garrett's not here tonight. Did he pick you as the head comedian? And then she said I should look up and smile more. I don't know why I think I'm even grumpy and gloomy. I do think I'm grumpy and gloomy. That's probably not helping the liveliness of the chat room, is it? Okay, let's do better. Mike, you keeping up with hockey right now? I can't remember where the Winnipeg is right now, where they're at in the scheme of things. I know one thing, they used to be, Diana, I didn't mean to leave that up so long. They were one of Nashville's nemesis. Next week we will do an apron fashion show with Tim as the model. No, we can't be doing that. That's drag, and I'm not going to get caught doing drag shows on my show here. I'm not going to rename this the Rue Pruitt drag race or something. 72 cents. Well, I can remember when it was down in that area before, or at least I thought it was, Mike, but that's probably when I lived in Nashville, maybe not. Look at something here real quick. Well, the Preds are on tonight at 9 o'clock. I need to check that out. Looks like the Jets may not play until Saturday. Well, and the Preds are on the West Coast, so that's why they're playing late. Oh, lost my screen. There I am. Don't forget about Ghost. We always watch it recorded. Oh, Carol, speaking of Saturday morning permission slips. I don't know if a drag show is or not, but we might want to bring those with you. I'm not sure for Saturday's show. I got a Jim Dandy topic for Saturday. And I'm not going to tell it, because if I do, you might not show up. I got the idea. Mark and I were having a discussion about something the other night, and they hit me. I said, hot dang, I know what I'm going to talk about. I've been working on it. Jets aren't doing very well right now. Well, neither are the Preds. So 2013, Diane had a job opportunity in the U.S. We decided not to do it in the Florida Keys. We decided, Mike, more like you decided. Let's don't go there. I did that one time. I still hear it catch hell over it. Well, the Keys is pretty far down there. That is for sure. I wanted to ride my motorcycle down there all the way to the bottom of the Keys to say I'd been there, further southern point in the United States, but oh well. If you're talking about the vehicle we have currently, it is not a minivan. Oh, Diana, I'm sorry we brought that up then. Let's move on to another topic. How about those donuts, Mike? Well, I want to make one thing perfectly clear. We do not own a minivan, so there. She just does that to get under my skin. Because she knows I hate it. And she makes it sound like that, and we do not have. We had a minivan back in the aughts when our kids were little. For a little while, we needed the room. But no, we do not have a minivan now. We do not have a minivan. We did not buy a minivan. We do not own a minivan. We will not have a minivan. Donuts. He ate all the cookies I made. He don't need donuts. Yeah, but I was trying to change the subject, Diana. So cookies is a good time. What kind of cookies were they? I like cookies. I really like chocolate chip cookies. But I like just about all cookies, truth be told. I'm not a big fan of Oreos necessarily, unless they're an ice cream. Oh, yeah, Brenda wanted a sports car, so she'll probably trade what we've got for a two-seater when I'm gone. Well, so did I. We had a good minivan too, Diana, but she would never admit to that. And for some reason, she thought it would be practical for us to have a two-seat sports car with no trunk space, and so we could what? We couldn't even go to the grocery store. What did Carol say? So to recap, both Diana and Brenda began the evening singing their husband's praises. Mike and Tim were now in the doghouse. That's pretty well put, Carol. Yes. Well, I'm not sure I'm in the doghouse. Actually, Brenda may be the one in the doghouse. She keeps up this minivan crap, or that trip to the beach might get canceled, or she's going to go by herself, whichever. But the point is, we don't have one now, Diane, and it's nothing. It's for me. It's really nothing against minivans. It's just the fact that she keeps calling our car, our SUV, a minivan, and it don't even look like a minivan. 2-seat sports cars are practical. Really, Diane? Carol said this would be a bad time to mention that I also had a minivan and a Mustang. Oh, what kind of Mustang do you have, Carol? Well, I'll gladly admit we had a minivan at one time, and it was a very practical vehicle. And we got to travel in it. Yeah, she did have a 76 Camaro that would fly. I know that for a fact. But the Camaro I would love to have had belonged to her grandmother. Yes, I am, Brenda. And if you're going to start saying something ugly about me or the van or the girls hating it or you guys hated my guts for that, then you keep it to yourself tonight, because just you keep it to yourself. An 88 and then a 98, neither had the big 5.0 though. Wait, now Danny's in the doghouse too. I want the big engine. Oh, oh, well, if we get this thing going long enough, every male in this conversation, the group community is going to be in the doghouse. So if you're in this chat, like Dean, if you're still here since you're not married, you're probably doing good. Well, Brenda's Camaro had a 350 in it, so that was a 5. That's actually bigger than a 5.0. But it was pretty tamed down with all the pollution control stuff of the day on it. But it still ran good. It did. It was pretty fast. You wish. Mike, we need to make a pact right now. Danny probably ought to get in on this too. If anything happens to the other one of us, the other two need to go investigate and see what happened, or be careful, because they may be plotting against us. Oh, Mike, you had a Pro Street dragster? Street legal, you mean, or just was it really a racetrack vehicle? I used to build drag cars, or did some of the work anyway. We used to do, a guy I worked with, and I did sheet metal work for race cars, NASCAR, and some drag cars, and different things like that. That's one of my many. Well, actually, that was a sort of a side hustle, if you want, they call it today. Something we had going on the side. We weren't driving or owning them, but we did work on them and build them. Oh. Oh, Brenda, that ain't nice. That's not nice. So it did have a roll bar in it. Now we're talking. That's cool. You got a picture of it, Mike. You need to send me a picture of that. That car was dumb. I love that. That car was dumb. I'd kill myself climbing in over the roll bar. Oh, it even had a parachute. Wow. Oh, Diane, I don't mean to laugh at your expense, but that's kind of funny. A 14-point gauge. That's cool. What did it have in? Did it have two seats, or would Diana be not only climbing through the window but sitting on the floor? It was dumb. Well, now we've hit a whole new. I'll have to admit that's probably better than the topics I want to talk about. No, I'd like to hear more about the Cutlass. mm. Well, yeah, yes, you could, because it was rusted pretty bad in places. That was a Triumph, in case you don't know what a TR4 was. But I liked it. In fact, I kind of loved it. Most things about it. There was a few things about it I didn't like because I couldn't get parts for it. Anyway, two seats, all tire in the back, 4-link suspension, 33-inch tall tires, 1850 wide. So it had tubs in the back then, Mike. I made a set of tubs for I guess that was a Vega, a Chevy Vega that was, it was strictly a drag racer. My friend had a car with a floor like that and drive over puddling and get your feet wet. She makes it sound bad, but she liked to ride around in it with the top down, Carol. I bet it rode like a log wagon, didn't it, Mike? With that suspension under it. Well, I knew a lot of people with Volkswagens back then, Carol. They were all rusted out in the bottom, just about. Yeah, that stupid car. Oh, you're making my day, Mike. Keep going. Or Carol is one. I love it. Everybody doesn't. Everybody, Mike. Everybody out there just doesn't appreciate horsepower and speed and coolness. Not much of a make-out car. Well, maybe not. But you could sit in it and watch the stars. Seats didn't recline or anything, though. That's true. They had true old-fashioned bucket seats in it. And I mean bucket seats with no high backs, no headrest. Didn't even have seat belts in it until I put some in it. But what would you expect from a guy that spent the first few years driving on a motorcycle? I mean, that was all I had until I bought that. And like I said, I liked it. She appreciates it, but she just don't want to ride in it. Well, that's good to know. There's Dean. He's back. Oh, that's right. Your stream will be on in a few minutes, won't it, buddy? Well, everybody go over and see Dean, and let's leave all the animosity and the car hatred and that sort of thing here. Let's don't take it into Dean's story hour. That wouldn't be fair to him. And we're just discussing things, Dean, that would have made you probably be proud you're not married. Brenda's got to go. Where you got to go? Oh, she might have to go. She's sewing, so that's where she's got to go. Unless she's headed to watch Ghost already. See you later, babe. Ha 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 ha. Very funny. Very funny. You need to get some of those aprons posted. Or send me pictures and I'll show them off down here one day. All right, guys, it's 8:53. I'm going to cut this off short, I think, and I'm starting to hurt anyway. And go over and see Dean. I'm going to plan on dropping in there for a little bit and not looking. Okay, Dean. Well, that's fair enough, buddy. Some of us have been there, done that, and kind of wish we had looked and just, kept looking. Take that, Brenda. She's probably gone by now. Oh, no, there she is. Oh, that's very funny too, Carol. You're just a barrel of laughs. I bet you go down weekends to the old folks' home and take all the nuts off the wheelchairs, don't you? So the wheels fall off. Just a laugher. Carol, she's got a room full of material up there, and she still might not have enough to cover my backside. Keep bidding. Oh, Lord. See what I put up with? She's got me cornered now. I'm crippled. I can't get away from her. Not fast enough to escape. So I'm probably gonna have to take one for the team, guys. Teddy, you want to say bye? You want to say bye? Apparently, he's not interested. All right, guys. I appreciate you sticking with me, and I appreciate you putting up with me. And I know we didn't get very far tonight, and probably didn't get too serious, but these are all serious subjects. These are all things that are happening, at least in this country. And I appreciate Dean or Diana and Mike for being here because they can look at it from a different perspective, a little bit anyway. Same time on Saturday, Mike. I hope to see you guys there. And I hope I see. It doesn't seem like he's in. He's not been in hardly at all. Once or twice in the last month or so. They must be working him hard. I really hope he's not sick or anything. I know Mark really likes it when Dean's there. I mean, Dean, when Ian's there, because he makes Mark laugh a lot. Oh, you're back now. Okay. That's okay, Mike. Let me know if you want to talk anytime this week. I don't know. You're probably working. It's just one more day left, but anyway. Anybody, for that matter, anybody. I'm open for a video call, Instagram call to just about anybody, anytime. No, we're not, Mike. I agree. They put that line up there between us just to make us think we were, but we're really not. We're really not. I think we certainly both have our faults and our merits, that's for sure. But I can think of a lot of things you guys did way better than we did. And you didn't have to fight a civil war over it. Anyway, all right. I'm going to sign off, guys. Love y'all. Thanks for being here. Dean, I'll see you in a few minutes. Take care. And Mike, you guys don't freeze your tailbones off. And Carol, I don't know if you still got snow or not, but be careful up there if you do. And who am I missing? Tina, if you're out there listening, you too. And I think that's about it because Brenda's already left. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. See you real soon. See you Saturday morning. Got a special topic. You're going to love it. So you have to be there to find out what it is, though. I'm not going to spill the beans, as it were. Have a good one.